Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvise Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Dear devotees, thank you so much for your kind association. We will get started. Can someone remind me where we are supposed to start today? Which verse? I'm forgetting. I know we are supposed to start with the fifth chapter.
From the 18th.
18?
Yeah.
So we covered 18 verses in one class last time?
No, we covered 17. From 18 we have to start.
Okay, thank you so much, Mallika.
No problem, Prabhuji.
So
Hare
we
Krishna.
covered till, okay. So we have to start from verse number 18. Okay, thank you. So dear devotees, we are reading the fifth chapter of Sri Bhagavad Gita, and this chapter is entitled Transcendental Knowledge. We saw how knowledge is of two types. There is mundane knowledge, which is knowledge of this material world, and there is transcendental knowledge, knowledge of the spiritual dimension. So in fifth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is explaining transcendental knowledge and the greatness of transcendental knowledge. So let us see from verse number 18. In the previous verses, we saw how Krishna is teaching us that we have to seek real knowledge. And when we have real knowledge, then all our ignorance is gone. Just like the sun lights up everything and darkness is automatically gone in the daytime. Similarly, when there is the light of spiritual knowledge, all our misgivings, all our confusion, all our illusion is automatically gone. This transcendental knowledge helps us progress on the path of liberation. So there are two situations. One is a situation of bondage, where we are bound up in this material world. And the second situation is that of liberation, where we are living a spiritual life, completely free from birth, old age, disease, and death. So, verse number 18. This is a very important verse. It's a verse that we should all memorize. So, I'm going to display this verse. Verse number 18 of the 5th chapter of Sri Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna is speaking to Arjun. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shwapakache Shwapak sorry. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shwapake Cha Panditah Samadarshinaha. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shwapaka Cheva. Sorry, I don't know what is happening to my tongue. Shuni Chaiva Shwapake Cha Panditah Samadarshinaha. Shuni Chaiva Shwapake Cha Panditah Samadarshinaha. So very important verse, dear friends. Vidya means with education. We say Vidyalaya, university, a place of education. So Vidya means with education. Vinaya. Vinaya means gentle behavior, gentle nature. Vidya Vinaya. Sampanne. Sampanne means endowed with, fully equipped with education and gentle behavior. So there is a difference between knowledge and education. Knowledge means to know things, but vidya or education means to have knowledge plus good character. This is the important difference. So vidya means to have knowledge with good behavior, good character. And vinaya also means gentlemanly behavior. Vinaya, gentlemanly behavior, to know what is right, what is wrong, and to follow the path of righteousness. Sampanne means endowed with. Having vidya and vinaya, education and gentle behavior. Brahmane, in a Brahman, we saw that there are 4 categories of people, 4 Varanas. There is Brahman, there is Kshatriya, there is Vaishya, and there is Shudra. These 4 natural divisions of human society, my dear friends, are just like the natural divisions of the human body. Brahman are the thinking class of people, the brain of the human body. Kshatriyas are the powerful arms. Vaishyas represent the torso, the belly. And Shudras represent the legs. So we need the legs to walk and move. Similarly, Shudras in society are the laborers. They help in construction and they assist in so many important activities, which helps the society to move forward. Shudras. Vaishyas are the people engaged in commerce, the merchants, all commerce and economics. That is the belly, because it is the belly that assimilates and digests all the nutrients in the food and supplies it to the rest of the body. So our digestive system, our belly represents the Vaishyas or the commerce. Then Kshatriyas are the arms, because the arms protect the body. If something happens, we can defend, we can attack with our hands. We do everything with our hands. So our arms, our hands represent Kshatriyas, who are the administrators and the military of the society. The police, the military, law enforcement, that represents the arm, Kshatriyas. And the thinking class, the brain, the think tank, as they say, the brain, along with not just knowledge and research and scientific analysis, but also moral discrimination. What is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is moral, what is immoral, what is ethical, what is unethical. The brain thinks. So that is the Brahman. Remember, Brahman means brain, and Kshatriya means the arms, Vaishya means the belly, and Shudra means the legs. All these four natural divisions of the human body are essential. We need the legs to ambulate, to move. We need the hands to do things. We need the belly to nourish the whole body. We need the digestive system to nourish the whole body. And similarly, we need the brain to think. They are essential. Imagine a body with no brain. Or imagine lots of brain, but no hands to perform work. And imagine there is brain, there is hands, there is digestive system, but there are no legs. So everything will come to a standstill. And imagine there are hands and legs and brain, but there is no digestive system. If there is no digestion, there is no GI tract, there is no belly, no intestines, our body cannot get nourishment. So we need saintly people who know the scriptures and who can teach. We need people who will protect society, law enforcement. We need commerce and we need merchants for economic development. And we need laborers and artisans and assistants who will assist. So therefore, all these natural divisions are there. So Brahmana means the Brahmins, the thinking class, the teachers of society. Gavi means cows. Hastini means elephant. Shuni is a dog. Cha eva means and certainly. Shwa pake, the dog eaters. So there are even classification amongst people who eat meat. There are some people who eat meat only for survival. For example, there are certain tribes in the forests of Africa, forests of India, Australia. They live in the wild, and the food that is naturally available there is by hunting. So they hunt and they eat. That is less sinful than us who maintain inhuman slaughterhouses in the modern cities, where animals are treated very poorly and they are slaughtered and their meat is consumed on a mass scale. And there's so much food wastage. My dear friends, if you do some research, you will realize that 50 to 60% of the food that is produced in the United States is wasted. Hare Krishna. Imagine that. How many animals are uselessly slaughtered because the meat is wasted? Either wasted because it expires in the supermarket shelves, or it expires because people buy it and then just don't end up eating it. They cook excess and the surplus food is just thrown in the trash cans, or it is not stored properly and it gets spoiled and it is discarded. But statistically, 50 to 60% of the food that is produced is wasted in the Western world. Isn't that a shame? So many animals die for nothing. So that type of meat eating is very sinful. But still, they are eating animals that are meant to be, that are somehow under restrictions allowed to be eaten. But then there are some people who are so low class, please pardon my use of that word, but factually they are so low class that they eat animals that are not to be eaten even by the meat eaters. And that is called shwa pake. Shwa means dog and pake means to cook the dog and eat the dog. So shwa pake are those human beings who eat dogs. And they are considered to be, according to the Vedic culture, they are considered to be the lowest. Pandita means a wise person who is endowed with Vidya and Vinaya. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. Samadarshina, he sees with equal vision. Okay, someone has raised a hand. Anjaneya, Anita Mataji, you want to say something?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Anjane was asking, what about people who eat cow, beef?
Yes, that is also very sinful, very, very sinful. But there is a difference. In the Vedic scriptures, there are certain yajnas called go yajna, where a cow is slaughtered, is sacrificed in the yajna, but certain mantras are chanted, and the cow that is slaughtered is usually an old cow, and immediately the cow gets a new birth. The cow gets either a fresh body of a young healthy cow or a human birth. So there is elevation, there is improvement for the cow also who is slaughtered. And that was allowed in the previous ages when people were very truthful and the mantras that they chanted had great power. But in Kali Yuga, people are not truthful, people are not pure, and we don't have such high class pandits or brahmanas who can recite those mantras with so much potency. So nowadays, the animals are just slaughtered in slaughterhouses. That is extremely sinful. But under certain conditions, sacrificing even a cow is there in the scriptures, although it is not meant for this age of Kali. It is mentioned in our scriptures that Ashwamedha Gavalambam Sanyasam Palapaitrakam Devarena Sutotpatim Kalau Pancham Vivarjayet. 5 activities are banned or prohibited in Kali Yuga. Ashwamedh, a horse sacrifice. Gavalambam, a cow sacrifice. So these 5 things are there, which are not allowed in Kali Yuga. Ashwamedha Gavalambam, Sanyasam, even taking sannyas unless one is qualified. Sannyasam, Palapaitrakam, eating meat, and Devarena Sutotpatim. Just like in Mahabharata, we see that when Vichitra Virya died, his 2 wives, Ambika and Ambalika, there was no heir to the throne of Hastinapur. So a child had to be begotten. So Satyavati, the mother of Chitravirya, so Pandu and Dhritarashtra's father, Chitrangada, I think. Chitrangada died, and Vichitravirya was the other father, right? Bhishmadev's 2.
Vichitravirya's sons were Dhritarashtra and Pandu.
Yeah.
But
Vichitravirya?
Yes, it was Vichitravirya. Chitrangada died somewhere in the
Chitrangada died. So Vichitravirya was there, and Vichitravirya also died before having any children. So his 2 wives, Ambika and Ambalika, Amba already gave up her life and she became Shikhandi in the next life. But Ambika and Ambalika, there was a need to have a child. So Vyasadev was called. Now Vyasadev is the elder child of Satyavati. Satyavati's children from Shantanu Maharaj were Chitrangada and Vichitravirya. Both died without producing any children. So now Satyavati has 2 sons who have died. But there are 2 daughter-in-laws, Ambika and Ambalika, who have no children. But Satyavati had another child from Parashar Muni, and that is Vyasadev. And Srila Vyasadev is living in the Himalayas. So Satyavati called Vyasadev to produce children from Ambika and Ambalika. So what is the relationship of Vyasadev with Ambika and Ambalika? It is Devar. Devar, because Satyavati's son is Vyasadev and younger son was Chitrangada and Vichitravirya. So Vyasadev is half brother of Vichitravirya. So he's Devar for Ambika and Ambalika. And a child was begotten through Vyasadev. This was permissible in Satyayug, Tretayug and Dwaparyug because people were very pure. Their mentality was very pure. They would just unite with a woman for the purpose of having a child without having those sexual motivations. So in the previous ages, they were in a Sudotpatim under certain conditions when the mother or father authorized it, where the Acharya authorized it, it was allowed. But not so in Kali Yuga, because in Kali Yuga, our mentality is not pure. So 5 things are banned in Kali Yuga. This verse is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes this verse. Ashwamedham gavalambam sanyasam palapaitrakam devarena sutotpatim kalau pancham vivarjayet. These 5 things are banned in Kali Yuga. So one of them is meat eating. Meat eating is banned. Animal sacrifice is banned in Kali Yuga because we don't have that type of purity and those types of brahmanas who can perform those yajnas so purely, where the sacrificed animal instantly gets a fresh body. So in short, cow sacrifice is allowed in Satyayug, Tretayug and Dwapar Yug, but not in Kali Yuga. It is very sinful to eat. But it is at least under certain conditions allowed when the cow is immediately given a human body or higher body. But eating of dog is never allowed. Not in Satyayug, not in Tretayug, not in Dwaparayug, and not in Kalyug. It is not edible. Dog meat is not edible. Deer meat and certain other types of meat, fish, it is for those who are very low class, for them it is allowed. But even for the low class, dog eating is not allowed. But there are certain classes of people who eat dog's meat also. They are called Shwa Pake. They are very low class people that we should not do. Is that helpful, Anjaneya? Is that clear, beta?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam, beta. So, what is the meaning of this verse? Let us go to the meaning of this verse. It is talking about a Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Pandita, a person, a Pandit who is very wise. He is Sama Darshana. Darshana means to see, and Sama means with equal vision. So, what does the humble sage who is endowed with Vidya and Vinaya, with education and humility and gentleness, what does such a Pandita, such a Sadhu do? He sees with the equal vision what the learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. All these different categories of living entities, a Pandit, a truly wise person, sees with equal vision. A Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and even a dog eater. So basically it means all living entities, they are seen with an equal vision by a Pandit. And what is that equal vision? Equal vision means to see the soul within. Because even a Brahman has the same soul, even the cow has the same soul, elephant, dog, and dog eater. Inside they are all same soul. Everybody has the same soul. Not that the soul of a dog is different from the soul of an animal, of a human. No, we are all same. We are all parts of God. Mamaya amsha jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana, Krishna says. So look at my hands. My hands are same. When I am examining a patient, I will wear the purple gloves in the hospital. Okay. When I am doing some sterile procedure, I will wear the yellow sterile gloves. The purple gloves are clean, but they are not sterile. When I'm doing a sterile procedure like a surgery, I will wear those yellow sterile gloves. When I'm going out in the winter and it's very cold, I will wear my winter gloves. When I'm putting mulch in my yard, I will wear the gardening gloves, which are different. So same hands, but the gloves keep changing. They are different. I go skiing, I will wear different gloves for skiing. So if I'm playing cricket, I will wear different gloves, cricket gloves. So if I'm batting, different gloves. If I'm a wicket keeper, still different gloves. You see? So hands are same, but the gloves are changing. Similarly, the soul is same, but the species is changing. Sometimes human species, sometimes cow species, sometimes elephant species, sometimes dog species. You see? So the species are different, but a Pandit who has knowledge, he sees with equal vision all these, even a tree, even grass, even a bird. Why? Because all of us are jivas. We are spirit souls. So that equal vision is there in a person who has Krishna consciousness, Krishna conscious vision. So Krishna is teaching this, that whatever differences are there, they are there on the bodily level. But internally, on the spiritual level, we are all same. We are all same. So Anjaneya, can you unmute and tell what we just discussed about this verse number 18? What did you learn?
We shouldn't eat or think of eating anything that has a soul or is a animal.
Okay, I will make it little simple for you. We should not eat anything that is not allowed by Krishna. See, whatever we eat, it has life. We cannot eat dead matter. We cannot eat dead matter. Whatever we eat, it comes from some living being. And sometimes that living entity has to die to feed us. For example, when you eat spinach or cilantro, the entire plant is uprooted. So even we vegetarians are killing, and there is sin. But because we offer it to Krishna, there is no sin. In fact, we get spiritual benefit by doing that, because Krishna is authorizing. In Bhagavatam, Narad Muni, Shri Narad Muni, he says something very important. Shri Narad Muni says, what is that verse? Ahastani sahastanam, apadani chatushpadam, falguni atra mahatan, jivo jivasya jivanam. It's a very famous verse. Ahastani sahastanam. Those who don't have hands, they are eaten by those who have hands. Ahastani sahastanam. And apadani chatushpadam. And those who don't have feet, they are eaten by those who have 4 legs. For example, grass. Grass doesn't move. Grass doesn't have legs to run away. So grass is eaten by 4-legged animals like cows or deer. And ahastani sahastanam. Think of a deer. Can a deer use its hands? No. It only has hooves. But can a tiger use its claws? Yes. Tiger can use the hands. Or a bear. So carnivorous animal with their claws and hands, they will pull down an animal, because they are animals of prey, and they will eat that animal. So ahastani sahastanam. Animal who cannot use their hands is eaten by an animal who can use their hands. Apadani chatushpadam. Those who don't have legs to run away will be eaten by those who have 4 legs. Falguni yatra mahatam. Those who are weak will be eaten by those who are strong. Jivo jivasya jivanam. Narad Muni says that one living entity is food for another living entity. So all of us, whether we are carnivores or omnivores or herbivores, we eat another living entity. But being vegetarian is the best. Why? Because in many cases, we don't have to kill the whole plant. Eating a fruit or eating a mango, nothing happens to the tree, right? So drinking milk, it is coming from the cow, but cow is not dying. But carnivores, meat eaters, they have to kill the animal and give pain to the animal. But we vegetarians don't have to give. Also, even if a plant dies, a plant does not have a central nervous system to feel and experience pain like the animals do. So killing a spinach plant to eat spinach is less sinful than killing a cow or killing a goat or killing a fish, because all these animals can experience pain. Whereas plants, they don't have a nervous system to experience so much pain like an animal. So therefore, being a vegetarian is the best. And when we take vegetarian food and we offer it to Krishna, then it is best. Okay? So, but remember, it is wrong to say that we should not eat anything that does not have a soul, because even vegetarians are killing. They are killing plants. But the difference is, it is sanctioned by Krishna. It is allowed by Krishna, because Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. You know that verse? Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. If Krishna would have said, Masyam, Madhyam, Andam, then we would have eaten eggs and meat and alcohol. But Krishna doesn't say that. Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. So that's what we do. So that has to be understood. Okay. Sorry for the little diversion, but let's go back to our Bhagavad Gita. So next verse number 19. So I hope everybody understood this verse, that a Pandit, a devotee, sees different species with an equal vision, knowing that inside we are all spirit souls. And remember the example of hands and different types of gloves. Okay. So verse number 19. This is transcendental knowledge, that we are not this physical body. We are not these different species. We are parts of Krishna. We are spiritual living entities. We are jivas. Verse number 19. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. So a person who has this understanding that we are not these physical bodies, but we are spiritual living entities, all of us, we are all children of God. Such a person attains liberation. Conquered the conditions of birth and death means liberation. Verse number 20. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something that is unpleasant, who is self-intelligent and who is unbewildered and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. So a person will be liberated, a person will attain Krishna if a person does not rejoice too much upon winning and does not become very disheartened or very sad and starts lamenting upon losing something. See, Krishna is repeating this theme again and again. I hope all of you are making a note of it. Krishna is saying that we should not be overjoyed by happiness and we should not be totally disheartened by sorrow, because happiness and distress, they come to all of us in different proportions based on our previous karma. So we should just tolerate. And one who is self-intelligent means what? One who through intelligence knows who is the self. Am I this body, Abhay Deshmukh? No, because 42 years ago, I did not exist. And maybe a few years from now, or who knows, sometime from now, I will cease to exist. All that will remain is some photographs, or some people who are in close to me, they will remember the name that such and such person existed. And after a few centuries, finished. Nobody will even know that Abhay Deshmukh existed. Not few centuries, few years only. So that is our physical body. But does that mean that the soul will cease to exist? No, never. The soul is eternal. All of us, we are all eternal. We are not this body. To have this understanding that I am not this body, I am spirit soul, I am part of Krishna, I belong to Krishna, I am spiritual. That is called self-intelligence. Who is unbewildered? Bewildered means one who gets confused. But unbewildered means because of transcendental knowledge, knowing that I belong to God, does not get confused, does not get bewildered, and who knows the science of God. What is the science of God? Krishna will explain in detail in the later chapters. But science of God means that we belong to Krishna and our duty is to always think of Krishna and become devotees of Krishna. We are spiritual beings in a material world. Everybody agrees that this is a material world. This world is made of matter, but we are not matter. We are spiritual. So we belong to the spiritual world. We do not belong to this world. We do not belong to the material world. So how are we? We are exactly like a fish who has landed on the hot sand of the seashore. What is the best thing that can be done for this fish? Just pick up this fish and throw the fish back into the water of the ocean, and the fish will be happy. Fish belongs to water. Fish does not belong to land. Fish is an aquatic. Fish is not a terrestrial animal. So if the fish is stuck on land, the best thing is to put the fish back in the ocean water. Similarly, we are spiritual living entities, but we are in this material world at present. The best thing we can do to ourselves, the best self-help we can do, is to go back to the spiritual world where we belong, because we are spiritual souls. This is called transcendental knowledge. One who knows the science of God is already situated in transcendence. Verse number 21. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Who is the Supreme? In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Bhagavan, Krishna is the Supreme. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that Param Brahma Param Dham Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashwatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. Arjun describes Krishna like that. And then Sanjay, the student of Vyasdev, he also describes Krishna like that. Atra Yogeshwara Krishna. That Krishna is Yogeshwar. He is the Supreme Lord. So therefore, such a person who knows the science of God Now, please pay attention, my dear friends. These two verses are extremely important. This is the transcendental knowledge. So please pay attention. Verse number 21. Such a person, liberated person, is not attracted to material sense pleasure. What is material sense pleasure? It is any pleasure that we experience through our material senses, through the eyes, through the ears, through tongue, through our sense of touch, through our nose. All these sense pleasures are temporary, and therefore a devotee of Krishna, a liberated person, will never take pleasure in these material sense pleasures. So what is the pleasure that a devotee is supposed to enjoy? Enjoying the pleasure within. See, this is the problem, my dear friends. Just pay attention. This whole world, if we observe, it is running outside to find pleasure. Oh, if I go to that country, if I settle in that country, I get a green card, I get citizenship of that country, I will become happy. Oh, if I get this degree, I will be happy. If I get that job, I will be happy. If I get the salary raise, I will become happy. I will. It always remains future tense. Because material pleasure is very fleeting. It's there and it's not there. And we keep chasing after it. Just like the Himalayan musk deer. Himalayan musk deer has a musk gland which produces the wonderful fragrance of musk. And the musk deer always wonders, where is this fragrance coming from? And runs here and there trying to search for the source of that fragrance. Where is this fragrance coming from? Not realizing that the fragrance is coming from its own body. Our story is like that. We try to find happiness here and there outside in this whole world, not realizing that real happiness is within us. How? Because Krishna is present in our heart. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridadeshe arjuna tishtati. Bhagavad Gita gives us the transcendental knowledge that Krishna is present in our hearts, all of us. And if we only look internally and we try to find Krishna and connect with Krishna in our heart, then we will attain real happiness. That is the meaning of enjoying the pleasure within. Instead of looking for pleasure outside, we should look for pleasure within us. And this pleasure can be attained by just closing our eyes and concentrating on Krishna in the form of his name by chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Just close your eyes and just concentrate on the sound vibration of this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pleasure within. Pleasure within. Even we see that if we do some good activity, we help someone, or we do what we are supposed to do, we are kind, gentle, helpful, friendly, internally we get a pleasure. Have you all noticed it? Haven't we experienced it? Internally we experience a pleasure. What is that pleasure? That internal pleasure is being given to us by Krishna, who is in our heart. That is what Krishna is saying, that we should enjoy the pleasure within. That satisfaction that we get, that happiness that we get by being good, by helping others, by serving, that is an internal pleasure that is given to us by Krishna. Externally, nobody is giving. Internally, we are feeling that happiness. We feel blissful. So that is pleasure within. Once His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, in the late 1960s, when Srila Prabhupada had acquired a small piece of land in Mayapur, Bengal, very holy place he had acquired, and he had sent His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, a dear disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He had sent him there to develop that place. So all he had was a simple bicycle, and he had to go to the Navadvip town to get anything that he needed. So one day he was just chanting Hare Krishna, and on his cycle, it was a long ride, few kilometers, and he was just riding his bicycle, and he went to the shop and he had to get some things for the temple. The temple was in a very basic structure. It was just starting. He was just trying to build everything, and he had to buy some tools or something from a hardware store. So he went to the shop cycling. It was a long distance away. And he said, Hare Krishna, can I buy this, some tools? He asked. And that shopkeeper was surprised. He said, what makes you so happy? Why are you so happy? And Srila Jayapataka Swami Maharaj did not realize why he was feeling so happy. He said, because I'm chanting Hare Krishna. So this is the situation of a devotee of Krishna. Internally, just by chanting Hare Krishna, internally there is an experience of divine pleasure. And other people outside, they may not understand why we are feeling so happy. Have you seen devotees blissfully doing Nam Sankirtan? Nobody is giving them any money, or nobody is giving them any recognition, or it's just they feel happy just by remembering Krishna, just by calling out the name of Krishna, by praying to Krishna. Krishna is saying that is the pleasure that we should enjoy. Enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme, concentrates on Krishna. So because Krishna is unlimited, one of the names of Krishna is Ananta. Because Krishna is unlimited, the pleasure that we derive by concentrating on Krishna is also unlimited. Correct? Krishna is unlimited, he's Ananta, therefore the joy that Krishna can give us is unlimited. This material world is limited and temporary. Therefore, the pleasure and happiness that this material world can give us is also limited and temporary. Krishna is unlimited and Krishna is permanent. Krishna is Sat, Chid, Ananda. So the Ananda, the happiness that Krishna will give us will be unlimited and eternal. But the Sukha, the happiness that this material world can give us, because this material world is described as Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. It is temporary and it is miserable. So the pleasure that we can suck out of, derive out of this material world will be limited, small quantity. And that also it is temporary. So why go for that? Any intelligent person will choose Krishna consciousness. That is what Krishna is saying. This is transcendental knowledge. Verse number 22. Now please listen. This is a very important verse. We have to memorize this verse. So I'm going to show this verse. Verse number 22, 5th chapter. Krishna is saying, Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. What is the meaning? An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti Arjun, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not take delight in them. Very, very simple verse, but very profound. Samsparsha ja. Ja means born out of. Samsparsha means contact of the senses with the sense objects. Bhoga means to enjoy. Dukkha yona means the source of distress or sadness. Eva, certainly it is. Why? Because Adi means beginning, Anta means end. Because these pleasures, so-called pleasures, have a beginning and an end, they are only sources of dukkha, ultimately. And na teshu ramate buddha. Buddha is an intelligent person, a devotee. Na teshu ramate, does not take pleasure in such fleeting pleasures of this material world. So intelligent person does not participate in sources of misery, dukkha yona. Why? Because these so-called pleasures are only born out of the contact of the senses with the sense objects. For example, eating meat. It may be advertised as something very tasty, but it is ultimately going to be a source of misery, because we will be punished in hell for committing the sin of meat eating. There are advertisements of alcohol, vodka and beer and wine and this and people are paying hundreds of dollars to buy alcohol. And they feel, oh, this is very good, very tasty. We are very high class. It's considered to be a status symbol in a party to be holding a glass of wine and sipping. I am the enjoyer. But actually, neither is that alcohol good for health, nor is it good for spiritual health. Physically, it is going to cause gastritis, acidity. It is going to cause liver damage. It is going to cause dementia in the brain later on. It is just not good for health. But people do it. So such type of happiness, which is born out of the contact of the senses with the sense objects. My tongue wants wine. My tongue wants vodka. Or my tongue wants to eat meat. So when I give my tongue these articles that it is asking, this is called samsparsaja bhoga. Enjoyment that comes from contact of the senses with its sense objects. But this has ad antavanta. This has got a beginning, that enjoyment, and it has got an end. Watching a movie, it has a beginning and it has an end. Na teshu ramate buddha. But such enjoyment and all other forms of enjoyment, meat eating, intoxication, sex life, gambling, these are all, they have a beginning and they have an end. Therefore, this is not the real pleasure that the heart, the soul is looking for. Because soul is eternal, the soul is looking for eternal happiness, not happiness that will have a beginning and an end. But happiness that Krishna gives us, the internal bliss that Krishna gives us, the ananda that Krishna gives us, that joy is permanent, my dear friends. And it is not dependent on external characteristics, external situations. It is not dependent. So this verse is very important. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Anyone might advertise to us that do this, you will be happy. This is wonderful. Oh, it's fantastic. We should remember this verse. Dukkha yonaya evate. Certainly Krishna is saying it will ultimately be a source of dukkha. Even though it is being advertised as samsparshaja bhoga. Bhoga means enjoyment. It is being advertised as enjoyment, but actually it is going to lead to dukkha. Na teshu ramate buddha. I don't want to participate in such fleeting pleasures. Here Prabhupada is saying, material sense pleasures are due to contact of the material senses, which are all temporary because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything temporary. So therefore, this is a very important lesson from Krishna. Sorry. The next verse, verse number 23. Now Krishna is saying, before giving up this present material body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. So we are all looking for happiness. Krishna is giving the happiness formula. What is the happiness formula? We have to tolerate the urges of the material senses. And what are the senses? Our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, and also mind. Let's say somebody does something to us or doesn't treat us with enough respect. And our mind says, you have to get back. You have been slighted. You have been ill-treated. You have to get back. You have to take revenge. The mind will say like that. And listening to the mind, our body does things to get revenge. Either we become aggressive, or we become passive aggressive, or we try to spoil the reputation of that person, or we try to harm that person in some way or the other. But this is not what Krishna wants us to do. Krishna says, tolerate the urges of the material senses. The tongue may demand meat, tongue may demand intoxication, tongue may demand that, oh, I want to glorify myself. I want to boast about myself. But that is not the sign of a spiritualist. We have to tolerate such urges. Sometimes there will be an urge of anger. I have to say something. I have to vent my anger, as they say. That may be okay, but it is not going to please Krishna. We should try to tolerate these urges. And how do we get rid of those urges? By taking shelter of Krishna. Only Krishna can help. It is like scratching an itch. If there is itching and we scratch it, it's only going to make it worse. What is the treatment? Put the appropriate ointment that will take care of the skin disease. If eczema is itching, scratching it is only going to make it worse. But if you put a nice moisturizing steroid cream, the itching will go away, the rash will go away, the eczema will go away. Similarly for poison ivy. The more you scratch it, the worse it's going to get. Treatment is not to scratch. Treatment is to put medicine. Similarly, when our senses demand, I want this, I want to enjoy this, acting on the provocation of the senses is not the solution, my dear friends, but rather tolerating such urges, not responding to them, the demands of the mind, demands of anger, demands of the senses, not responding, not giving in to those temptations, but rather taking shelter of Krishna and experiencing that pleasure that Krishna gives us internally, that Krishna's devotees give us internally, that bhakti gives us. That is the right way to go. So Krishna is saying, before giving up this present body means what? Giving up this present body means before death. Before death comes, and death can come at any time, my dear friends. So this verse number 23 is very important. Before death comes, we should be able to tolerate the urges of our tongue, urges of our eyes. I want to see this. I want to touch this. I want to touch such and such person or such and such thing. I want to taste this. I want to smell this. I want to hear this music. We should be able to tolerate the urges of our material senses. And most importantly, the mind. We have to be able to tolerate the urges of the mind. The mind will instigate us in so many ways. So many breaking of relationships, so many fights, so many quarrels, so much heartbreak happens, my dear friends, because of ego problem. And what is ego problem? It is an uncontrolled mind. A mind that demands respect. Mind that demands vengeance, revenge, and we are not able to tolerate it, and we give in and we do something, and it just perpetuates the problem. Then that person is going to hit back, and then we will hit back, and it goes on and on and on, and we get sucked into a vicious cycle. If only we can control the mind. Krishna is saying one must be able to control and tolerate the urges of the material senses. There are 6 material senses: the mind, eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skin, touch. And check the force of desire. The force of desire. I desire this. I desire to, enjoy this. And the force of anger. So many problems in life happen because we act out of anger. We send an angry SMS. We send an angry text message, or we send an angry voice message, or we make a decision in anger. And then the consequences are so bad. So therefore, Krishna is saying, before we die, before we meet with death, we must be able to tolerate the urges of the senses. We must be able to tolerate anger, and we must be able to tolerate the force of desires, different material desires. And death can come at any time. Therefore, we have to do these things today. Let's not put it off. And what will be the result if we are able to tolerate our senses, our mind, our desires and anger? The result will be, we will be well situated. Well situated means we will attain Krishna at the end of this life. And even in this world, we will be happy. Even in this world, we will be happy. There are so many examples where people who cannot control their mind and senses, they become agitated, they get all excited, hurt. Whereas a person who is humble and who can tolerate is very happy. I have personally seen this, my dear friends, amongst my colleagues in the workplace. Some people are very volatile. I have one colleague, and this doctor is so volatile. Anything happens that he or she, I will not reveal, he or she does not like, she cannot tolerate. He or she will just go and, confront, very confrontational. And as a result, so many relationships get broken. And all the time this person is sad, and then comes to me and tells me, how do I handle this? What do I do this? I broke this relationship. I had a fight with this person. Always, and I have seen so many people like this. All because they cannot control their anger. They cannot control their temper. They cannot control their ego. Always wanting to be respected. Sometimes we have to tolerate. Sometimes we are not going to be respected the way we want. Sometimes we are not going to be treated fairly. It is part of this world. It's part of life. We have to rise above it. We cannot stay on that platform of disrespect and bigotry and envy and anger and fight. I'm going to fight it out in this world and get ahead of the rat race and just survival of the fittest. That attitude is very sick. That attitude doesn't take us anywhere, my dear friends. We will remain in this world. But the best way is to rise above these petty things. by tolerating and controlling our anger and mind. Such a person is well situated, will attain Krishna, and even in this world is happy. Even in this world is happy. Verse 24. One whose happiness is within, again Krishna is saying, spiritual happiness. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within. Who is active means spiritually active. Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Doing puja of Bhagwan. Reading about Bhagwan in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Reading these books. Active. A devotee is not passive. A spiritualist is not lazy and passive. No, active. And rejoices within. The happiness is coming within, spiritual happiness. And whose aim is inward, not outward in this world. What can I achieve in this world and become happy? Nothing in this world will make us happy. Even if we get everything, we will not be happy. I was reading in the Time magazine. One colleague gave it to me a few days ago. There was a whole article in the Time magazine about Elon Musk. How he is the richest person in this world. And with little flick of his finger, he controls the stock exchange. Because with his companies, he controls such a large share of commerce today. So they were saying, and so he was being interviewed, how he is doing. And he was saying that, I feel lonely sometimes because I just broke up with my girlfriend. And girlfriend or wife, I forgot. But he has children from that. He has children from several women, several of his partners. He had a wife also before. So he's been through several relationships. And he feels that sometimes I feel lonely. So he was asked, why did you break up? Well, because I don't have time for her. She feels I don't give her time. Now imagine you are the wife of the richest person in the world. I'm saying this not to criticize Elon Musk. I respect him. We all respect him. But this is out in the Time magazine. It is public knowledge. Anybody can read it. Elon Musk himself is saying that I live, I think it is in New Mexico. He has a plant where he's trying to create some rocket that can go to moon, Mars, whatnot. So he says, I stay here. I live here. And I'm always working. And my wife was complaining that I don't give her enough time. So what does this mean, my dear friends? Wealth, power, control, popularity, being famous cannot make us happy. Cannot make us happy. Otherwise, why would the Hollywood and Bollywood stars and models and actors and actresses have so many divorces, commit suicide? Because physical beauty, physical strength, money, being famous, these things cannot make us happy. Real happiness is an internal thing. This is what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. Let us read this verse. Verse number 24. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect yogi, perfect mystic yogi. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Why? Because Supreme is inside. Ishvara Sara Bhutanam Rida Deshe Arjuna Tishtati. Rida Deshe means in the heart. Ishwar is in the heart of everyone. Ishwar loves us so much. God loves us so much that he is living with us, the spirit soul, next to the spirit soul in the heart. Atma, that is we, and Paramatma, that is God. Atma and Paramatma are there in the heart. So therefore, our happiness should be spiritual happiness. Nothing in this material world will make us happy. Even though we may be the richest person in this world, we cannot be happy in this world. If we are expecting happiness from this world, if we are expecting happiness from this body, physical body, we will be disappointed because this body is going to get diseased, going to get old, and it's going to die. And this material world is always going to keep changing, always going to keep changing. So therefore, we cannot have permanent happiness in this material world. The nature of this world is like that. There will be happiness, there will be sorrow. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. All of us. It will be taken away. So we should not depend on this material world for happiness. Let us try to finish this chapter. Only a few verses are there. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, and who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. Very important verse, my dear friends. Please, again, I beg you to pay attention. So by reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and Ramayana, and by taking shelter of a guru, we must get rid of all our doubts. Samshayatma vinashyati. Krishna says, if we are always doubting, we will be lost. So first we must clear our knowledge with transcendental knowledge, clear our doubts with transcendental knowledge. Minds engaged within. Again, we have to be engaging our mind not in the worldly things, but in Krishna, thinking about Krishna inside. And we are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings. This is a very important principle, my dear friends. We have to not just think of ourselves selfishly, but we have to think about others also and try to do seva, try to help others without expecting anything in return. This quality is very dear to Krishna. And what is the greatest help, greatest welfare we can do? Put the fish from the hot, dry sand of the seashore back into the ocean. Greatest welfare work is not to feed, not to give a blanket. All that is good, that is required, but that is superficial, temporary, and ultimately useless. That type of charity is ultimately useless. The real welfare is to connect people with the source of real happiness, and that is God, Krishna. Giving Krishna consciousness, teaching the message of God where people can actually become happy sustainably, that is real welfare work. So we should be busy working for the welfare of other living beings. But before we do that, this has to be done. Our own doubts have to be cleared first. Not that we are ourselves not knowing and trying to help others. Like my friend Chandar, he went through medical school. He went through residency training, internal medicine, 3 years. He went through training in hematology and oncology. He went through the board exams and got board certified. And now he can treat cancer patients. Dr. Chandar Bhimani. Now he can treat. Why? Because he's trained. We should not try to help others spiritually unless and until our doubts are clarified. And unless and until our mind is engaged within in spirituality. First, we have to become spiritually competent. Then we can help others. In the swimming pool, only that person is qualified to become a lifeguard who knows how to swim very nicely and therefore is able to help others. If someone doesn't know how to swim himself, can that person be a lifeguard? No, he will also drown and the other person will also drown. Therefore, first we have to clarify our doubts. Chanting Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing from Guru. We should clarify our doubts. And then we should engage within in spirituality. And then we should become busy working for the welfare of other beings. Highest welfare activity is not only giving them charity like food for the hungry, homeless, giving clothes for those who don't have clothes, medical help, all that is good. In addition, most important thing is we should connect them with God, connect them with Krishna, and who are free from all sins. And we have to be free from sins. We should give up these 4 sinful activities: meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication. These are 4 main sinful activities which we must give up. And then we can achieve liberation into the Supreme, that is Krishna. So Krishna is saying very important principle. This is how we must progress. First, help ourselves, engage in spirituality, and then help others. Work for the welfare of others and give up sinful activities. This is transcendental knowledge, my dear friends. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined. Disciple means disciplined. We cannot eat anything, sleep anytime, wake up anytime, and call ourselves spiritualists. No, a spiritual disciple means disciplined, self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, constantly trying to improve oneself. We don't compete with others. We don't envy others. We compete with oneself. Let me become a better version of myself. Constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future, Krishna says. How beautiful is that? Krishna is promising us. If we give up our anger, give up nonsense material desires for sense gratification, prestige, fame, and we are always self-disciplined and engaged in improving ourselves spiritually, then we are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Verse number 27 and 28. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the 2 eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths, within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada taught us in the morning, we should sit cross-legged, our eyes should be closed, and we should concentrate on Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As we are chanting, we should concentrate on this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and we should chant this Mahamantra. In Kali Yuga, this is the best process. And how we can control the breathing process while doing that. Now listen how we can control. There is inhalation and there is exhalation. We can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 2 times, 3 times, 4 times while exhaling, and 1 time while inhaling. And this is the best way to control our breathing process, as Krishna is explaining in this chapter of Transcendental Knowledge. Now listen. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Like that. Controlling the mind, controlling the anger, controlling the breathing, inward and outward breathing, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is the beautiful process of meditation. Every morning we should sit and do this. It's so simple. And as we do it more and more, we get better and better at it. Let's start with 15 minutes. Then let's go to 30 minutes. Srila Prabhupada said we should do it for at least 2 hours every day. And in the morning when we do it, we wake up, we brush our teeth, we evacuate, nature's call, drink some water, evacuate, take a nice shower, wear fresh, clean clothes, sit in a comfortable position, fix up one position, one place in the house, one room, and you just sit with a straight back, cross-legged. If you have a photograph of Krishna, you can keep it, print it and keep it in front of you, frame it. If you want, just message me on WhatsApp. I will send you a nice photo of Radha and Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. Just pray to them and chant this Mahamantra. Anybody can chant this Mahamantra. It is the most powerful mantra for Kali Yuga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. As you are breathing out, you chant 2 or 3 Mahamantras. As you are breathing in, you chant 1 Mahamantra. As you are breathing out, you can imagine that Krishna is purifying me. All my anger, all my lust, all my greed, all my envy, all my ego is going out with the breathing process. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. And when I'm breathing in, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, I'm breathing in the love, the mercy of Krishna. This can be the meditation. As we are breathing out, we'll chanting Hare Krishna, all our problems, envy, anger, ego, everything is going out. As we are breathing in, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Krishna's mercy, Krishna's grace, Krishna's love is coming inside. We are becoming Krishnamaya, Krishna conscious we are becoming. Certainly, we can attain liberation by this way. So we should do this 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour. Try to go to 2 hours. Best is 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. With that time. Morning 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. is the best. Not possible? Okay, no problem. Wake up at 5:30, get ready. 5:45 to 6 o'clock you do for 15 minutes every day. But every day without fail. 7 days a week. Not that today is Sunday, I will wake up at 10 o'clock. That is nonsense. That is not a spiritualist. Disciple means discipline. Last verse of chapter number 5, 29. A person in full consciousness of me, Krishna is saying, a person in full consciousness of me means Krishna conscious, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, knowing me to be the supreme Lord of all the planets and the Lord of all the demigods, means the Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesh, Mother Durga, all of them, their supreme Lord is Krishna. Krishna is saying here, the supreme Lord of all the planets. Who is the Lord of Kailash? It is Shivji. But who is the Lord of Shivji? It is Krishna, Lord of all demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. Krishna is our greatest well-wisher. We will never find a well-wisher greater than Krishna. Such a person attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. There are 3 types of miseries that we suffer in this world, my dear friends. Miseries caused by our own body, a cancer developing in the body, a blood vessel getting blocked in the heart, getting heart attack, blood vessel getting blocked in the brain, getting stroke, asthma, COVID, all these troubles that the body gives, these are the first type of misery. These are called adhyatmic klesh. Then there are adhibhautik klesh, problems given by other living entities, getting malaria because of a mosquito bite, because of some parasitic infection, or getting HIV, or getting tuberculosis, getting bacterial pneumonia. So these are all adhibhautik klesh, miseries caused by other living entities, or a burglar coming, or some terrorist shooting. These are all problems caused to us by other living entities, adhibhautik klesh. And the third is adhidaivik klesh. Adhidaivik klesh means problems caused by natural elements, natural desires, like tsunami, hurricane, earthquake, excessive cold, excessive heat, sunstroke, frostbite. These are all problems caused by natural forces. So these 3 types of sufferings we all suffer, and we can attain freedom and peace from all these problems if we follow this formula. This is transcendental knowledge. Please pay attention. Last verse. This is what Krishna wants us to do. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities. Sacrifices means all the activities that we do, and austerities means all the trouble we go through, studying for exams or whatever sacrifices we perform in life, austerities we perform in life, whatever hardships we go through in life. We have to do it for Krishna's sake. Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary, the Supreme Lord of all planets. We should understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord of all the planets, and Krishna is the Supreme Lord of all the demigods. Demigods means devatas and devis. 33 crore are there, but Krishna is their ultimate God, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. Krishna is the one who is always thinking about our benefit. That's why he's speaking Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is our well-wisher. Krishna is our best friend. Such a person attains real peace. Let's read this verse and then conclude today's discussion. Verse number 29, last verse of 5th chapter. Very famous verse, memorization verse. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarva bhutanam jnatva mam shantim rachati. Jnatva, this is jnana yoga, transcendental knowledge, this chapter. This is the concluding final verse of this chapter. Final verse. Krishna is giving the conclusion. How when you read an article, a research article, there is aims and objectives, there is methods, there is observation, there is discussion, and ultimately there is conclusion. Isn't it, my dear friends? We all like to read conclusion. This is the conclusion of this chapter number 5. Let's pay attention. Bhoktaram means the ultimate enjoyer. Yajna means all the sacrifices. Krishna is the enjoyer of all the sacrifices. Tapasa means all the hardships and difficulties that we go through in life. Who are we supposed to undergo hardships and difficulties for? For the sake of Krishna, our best friend. Krishna is the enjoyer of all the yajnas and all the tapasya, all austerities and all sacrifices. And who is Krishna? He is Sarva Loka Maha Ishwar. Ishwar means Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Maha Ishwar means the ultimate Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Sarva Loka. He is the Supreme Lord of all the planets, all the places. Not that India has a different Maheshwar and Australia has a different Maheshwar and America has a different Maheshwar, Sun has different Maheshwar, Jupiter has... No! Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, Krishna. Suridam. Ridam means heart-to-heart friend, intimate friend. And Suridam means the best intimate friend. Krishna is our best friend. And Sarva Bhutanam. Krishna is not just the best friend of 1 or 2 person. Krishna is not the best friend of his devotees only. No, Krishna is Suridam, best friend of everyone. Sarva Bhutanam, everyone. Krishna is not partial. Jnatva means to know. Know this, that Krishna is the Bhoktaram. He is the enjoyer. Krishna is the Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He is the Supreme Lord of all planets. And Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. Krishna is the best friend of everyone. Jnatva, to know this. Mam. Krishna is saying, me, Lord Krishna. Directly they said, Krishna is speaking this verse. Jnatva mam, one should know Krishna to be as such. Such a person, shantim rachati. Rachati means to attain, to achieve, and shanti means real peace. Real peace can be attained by understanding that Krishna is all this. What is he? A person in full consciousness of me. Knowing Krishna to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets, Supreme Lord of all demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. One who knows this, such a person attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions, you can please raise your hand, or you can ask, unmute and ask. So Gayatri has written a question. Gayatri Mataji has written a question. Could you explain what it means to be flawless like Brahman and be situated in Brahman? From verse number 19. Yes. Brahman, so Krishna is called as Param Brahma, Param Dham, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. So Krishna is the supreme Brahman. Krishna is the supreme spiritual reality. And to be flawless like Brahman means to follow the instructions of Krishna. Krishna does not want us to be envious. Krishna does not want us to be violent, deceitful. So we should giving up all that and following Krishna, always being absorbed in Krishna, then we become godly. We cannot become God. Krishna is Brahman. Krishna is God. We cannot become Brahman like Brahman. So we cannot become God, but we can become godly. To be godly means to be flawless like Brahman. And be situated in Brahman means to always think of Krishna. Always be Krishna conscious. International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That is the meaning of situated in Brahman. To always situate our consciousness in Brahman, in Krishna, Krishna conscious. Is that okay, Gayatri Mataji?
So as far as I understand Krishna, when we talk about Krishna, it's the aspect of the Supreme of Bhagavan, right? So why is the word Brahman is used over here? Which aspect of Supreme Arjuna and Krishna discussing in this chapter?
Yes.
Why are they not talking about Bhagavan? If like, why doesn't Krishna say situated in Bhagavan or situated like flawless like Bhagavan? Why is the word Brahman over here?
Yes, because it is synonymous. In the 10th chapter, I think verse number 12, it is said that Param Brahma Param Dham Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. Krishna is Param Brahman. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhu Matsakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. So Krishna is everything. Krishna is everything, and Krishna is the Param Brahma. So it is synonymous. There is no difference. But specifically, the word Brahman is used because here Krishna is telling Arjun that it's not just my devotees, but everyone can be included in this. Even a person who is attracted to the Brahma Jyoti of Krishna, who is Brahmavadi, that person is also included here. Someone who wants to focus on the Paramatma is also included here. And someone who is interested in Bhagwan is also included here. Therefore, the word Brahman is used because Krishna wants to be all-inclusive. All the types of sincere transcendentalists, spiritualists are included here. But for us, for devotees, Brahman means Krishna. For the seekers of meditation, Brahman may, who meditate on through Ashtanga Yoga, it may mean Paramatma. And for those who are attracted to the impersonal form of Krishna, the Brahma Jyoti, for them here Brahman will mean the Brahma Jyoti. So all three types of transcendentalists are welcomed and included here. That's why the word Brahman is used. Is that okay, Gayatri Mataji?
Yes, and I want to also ask a little bit more, which is continuation of this question. In the text 24, there are two more words which are not clear. Brahma Nirvanam, which is liberated in the Supreme, and Brahma Bhutam. And I see these words, these Sanskrit words, which I do not understand, they're repeated throughout one verse and another verse, and then in 6th chapter and the 7th chapter. So yeah, I would like to know
which verse was this?
Verse 24. That's
20.
where I see this word combinations for the first time, but then they're repeated through each verse. You will find this Brahma Nirvana in verse 25, and then you will see Brahma Bhutam in some other verses.
Sure, we'll go through both the verses. Yoantaha sukho antar aramas tathantar jyotir eva yaha sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto dhigachati. So here, Krishna is saying one whose happiness is within. Antaha Ramaha. Ramaha means to enjoy. Antaha Aramaha means within. Antaha means within. And then you specifically asked about Brahma Nirvana. So Nirvana means liberation. And Brahma here means supreme. So such a yogi, and again, here yogi word is used to include all the three types of yogis. Those who are Brahmanisht, those who are Paramatmanisht, and those who are Bhagwanisht. All three are there included in this, because the Supreme Absolute Truth has three aspects: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaniti, Shabdati, as you must be knowing. So the yogi is used to indicate spiritualists of all the three paths, three main paths. And Nirvana means to attain liberation in Brahma. So again, Brahma here refers to the Supreme Absolute Truth seen in three features. And Brahma Bhuta. So here, see, in Sanskrit, there are many words which have, same word has different meanings, as you know. For example, Atma can mean the soul. Atma can mean the mind. Atma can mean the physical gross body. And Atma can also mean Paramatma Krishna, isn't it? So similarly, just like one word can have different meanings based on the context. Here, Brahma Bhuta means one who is self-realized. And here, Brahma means the self, the Jivatma. So the context is important. So here, Brahma Bhuta means self-realized, because Brahma here means the Atma. Whereas here, Brahma Nirvana means the Supreme, Paramatma, or Param Brahma, or Bhagwan, like that. Is that okay so far? We'll go to the next verse, but is this verse
Yes,
okay? Okay. Verse number 25. Labhante Brahma Nirvanam Rishayah Kshina Kalmashaha Chinna Dvaidha Yatatmanaha Sarvabhuto Sarvabhuta Hiterataha. So again, here it is said, those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from sin, achieve liberation in the Supreme. So here again, the same word is used, Brahma Nirvana, which means liberation in the Supreme. And which verse was confusing for you, not clear for you?
Okay, so what is the liberation in the Supreme?
Liberation in the Supreme, there are 5 types of liberation in the Supreme. I'm sure you know this. There is the Sayujya Mukti, there is a Salokya Mukti, Sarashti, Samipya, and there is Sayujya, Salokya, Sarashti, Samipya, and
Sarupya.
Sarupya. Correct, Sarupya, having the same form. So these are the 5 types of liberation in the Supreme. You are aware of these 5 types, or should I explain the meaning of each?
It would be very nice if you can explain.
Yeah. So Sayujya means to merge into the Brahma Jyoti, the Supreme Brahman. And that is the aim of those who are seeking impersonal liberation, the Brahmavadis. Okay. That is Sayujya Mukti, to get liberated in the Brahma Jyoti. Now, going to Vaikuntha, the supreme abode of the Supreme Lord, the spiritual world, the 4 types of muktis are there. 4 types of liberation are there. Salokya means to reside on the same planet as the Supreme Lord. Number 2, Samipya, to live with the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world as in very close proximity to the Lord. Then there is Sarashti. Sarashti means to have opulences, Aishwarya, similar to the Lord. And Sarupya Mukti means to actually have a physical form similar to the Lord. Like we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 6th canto, when the Vishnu Dutas come, they look like Lord Vishnu with 4 arms, Chaturbhuj Murti. So like that. So there are these total 5 times of liberation are there. So Brahma Nirvana means those types of liberations in the Supreme, in the spiritual world. Is that
So
okay?
it includes all 5 of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Nirvana, so liberation includes all of them, all 5 of them. Now, which liberation an individual will get depends on the mood and the bhav of that individual sadhak, that practitioner of spirituality, what he wants to achieve.
Okay, thank you very much. Now it's clear. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. You're welcome. Anyone else has any question? If not, then we can end. Thank you very much, dear friends.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you, Chandra.
Krishna.
Take care, all of you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so
Jai Shri
much.
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Wonderful class. Hari Bol.
Radhe Radhe. Hare Krishna. Thank you.